power of imagination is much greater than most people realize. Mental magic isn't just daydreaming, it's the foundation of creation itself. Every thought you form, every vivid image you create in your mind, shapes the subtle energies that influence your life and your environment. Elementals are intelligent forces brought to life by a trained mind through imagination. They aren't random or accidental. They are created with structure, with purpose, and with the will of the magician. Just like a craftsman shapes raw materials into a masterpiece, your imagination shapes unformed energy into living forces that can act on your behalf. When imagination is combined with determination and concentration, it becomes an incredibly powerful tool. It lets you create forces that can last or forces that work only briefly, but either way, they have a real impact on your inner and outer worlds. The first step to unlocking this power is learning to visualize clearly and control your mental images with confidence. The mind is the true gateway to magical creation. It governs both imagination and will. While emotions and instincts might inspire action, it's the mind that directs and shapes energy into real outcomes. Every magical act begins with a thought, an idea that is carefully cultivated on the mental plane. Magicians who understand the power of the mind know that their mental creations can reach into the astral world, and sometimes even the material world, if the clarity and intent are strong enough. That's why controlling your thoughts is critical. A mind left undisciplined creates chaos, giving rise to forms like larvae, energetic parasites born of fear, anger, or desire. But a trained mind can create elementals, intelligent and obedient forces that carry out specific tasks. The mind acts as a bridge between the infinite possibilities of spirit and the physical reality we live in. Those who can shape their mental world with intention can influence both themselves and their environment in profound ways. Mastery of the mind is mastery of creation itself. Elementals are not just ordinary thoughts drifting through your mind. They are intelligent servants, created deliberately by the magician with a clear purpose and task. Unlike fleeting ideas that come and go, elementals are charged with vitality and designed to act independently within the mental world. Creating an elemental starts with intense imagination. You shape a specific form, breathe life into it through your willpower, and program it with a direct command. These forces can perform many functions, from strengthening a person's memory, to influencing emotions, to attracting success in business. Because they are born from concentrated thought, imagination, and will, elementals are far more powerful than random mental chatter. They act like loyal agents, operating silently and efficiently to bring about the effects you intend. When crafted properly, they serve without question, continuing their work even when your attention moves elsewhere. Unlike natural spiritual beings, elementals are completely human-made. They don't grow or evolve on their own, nor do they come from any divine source. They exist only because someone consciously created them for a specific reason. Natural spiritual beings, like angels or nature spirits, have their own consciousness and purpose. They don't need human thought to exist. Elementals, on the other hand, owe everything to the magician's will. They are shaped, named, and directed by human desire. There's another important difference too: control. Natural spirits act according to their own laws and nature, but an elemental follows strict orders. Its existence is bound by the instructions it was given when it was created, including what it should do, how long it should live, and when it should dissolve. Understanding these differences is crucial for anyone who wants to practice mental magic safely and effectively. Elementals are powerful tools, but they must be created and managed with clear purpose and responsibility. The first golden rule for creating an elemental is forming its vessel, the shape it will inhabit. This is done entirely through imagination. You must vividly picture the form you want, making it as real and detailed as possible in your mind. The shape you choose should match the goal you want the elemental to achieve. For example, if you want it to inspire mental clarity, you might imagine a bright, glowing orb. If you need protection, you might picture a strong shield or a vigilant guardian figure. The clearer and more lifelike the image, the stronger and more effective the elemental's foundation will be. Intense concentration is critical during this stage. The more emotion and focus you pour into the visualization, the more powerful and stable the elemental will be when it is set free to act. The second rule is to give the elemental a name. In the magical world, Nothing can exist without a name. Naming the elemental anchors it into existence and connects it firmly to your will. The name should be short, easy to remember, and resonate with the elemental's purpose. For instance, an elemental meant to enhance communication could be named Voxa, symbolizing voice and clarity. The name also makes it possible to summon, recharge, or dismiss the elemental whenever needed. Without a name, the elemental would remain incomplete, missing the essential link that binds it to your intent. The third rule is programming the elemental with clear, strong instructions. This is where your willpower comes fully into play. Commands must be direct and in the present tense. There should be no room for confusion. Instead of saying, "You should help," you command. You help strengthen John's memory until it becomes sharp and reliable. The more precise and firm the command, the better the elemental understands its task. Authority matters. Speaking internally with certainty, like giving an order to a trusted agent, ensures the elemental receives its programming clearly and completely. The fourth and final rule is setting clear boundaries. You must define how long the elemental should exist and what marks the completion of its mission. For example, you might instruct it, "You continue to work until John's memory improves to the desired level, then you dissolve back into the universal light." Giving a definite endpoint prevents the elemental from becoming unstable or lingering when it is no longer needed. By defining the lifespan clearly, you protect both yourself and the elemental, keeping full control over the mental forces you've set into motion. The creation of an elemental begins by imagining an infinite ocean of bright, radiant light. This endless sea represents the pure, living energy from which all mental forms are drawn. You mentally immerse yourself in this ocean, feeling it surround you, fill you, and support you. The visualization should be as vivid and real as possible, as if you are floating inside a living, breathing field of light. This becomes the raw material you will shape into the elemental. From this vast ocean of light, you start gathering energy, mentally drawing it into a single point. With steady focus and strong will, you compress the light into a small but dense ball, about 12 to 20 inches in diameter. This ball of light should look like a miniature sun, brilliant, powerful, and alive with condensed energy. The act of condensing it tightly makes the elemental stronger and more stable. The denser and more vibrant the sphere, the more powerful your creation will be. Once you have formed the sphere, it's time to breathe life into it by giving it a clear, unwavering purpose. Using both your imagination and your will, you impress the intended task deep into the core of the light. If you are creating an elemental to improve someone's memory, for example, you would imagine the sphere radiating sharpness, clarity, and rapid recall. Along with the visualization, you would issue a strong mental command, telling the elemental exactly what it must do and what result it must achieve. This step is vital. The elemental must feel charged with energy, focused with purpose, and absolutely certain of its mission. After the elemental has been formed, named, and programmed, you must set it free to act on its own. You mentally detach from the creation, breaking the link as if releasing a balloon into the sky. At the moment of release, it's important to stop thinking about the elemental completely. If you keep dwelling on it, you hold it back, limiting its independence and effectiveness. Some magicians use a small gesture, like a wave or a nod, to symbolize the release. Once released, the elemental operates independently within the mental sphere of its target, carrying out its assigned task. When the goal is completed, it dissolves back into the ocean of light, just as you instructed at the time of its creation. Sometimes, an elemental may need extra energy to keep working effectively, especially if its task is long-term or particularly demanding. To recharge it, you simply call it back by its given name, summoning it mentally from wherever it is working. When it returns, you visualize the elemental clearly, just as you did when you first created it. You place it once again into the ocean of light, surrounding it with fresh, vibrant energy. You gather and condense this energy around it, just like before, making the elemental stronger and more dynamic. While recharging, you also reinforce the original mission, using strong focus and willpower to remind the elemental of its purpose. This helps refresh its energy and its clarity, keeping it fully aligned with its assigned task. After recharging, you release the elemental once more, allowing it to continue its work with renewed strength. A well-crafted elemental shows clear signs that it is working. You will notice real, visible results related to the task it was created for. If the elemental was designed to improve someone's memory, for example, you might observe that the person remembers things more easily, speaks with more confidence, and learns faster. Another important sign of success is a feeling of detachment. Once you have released the elemental, you should no longer feel mentally connected or worried about its performance. A properly created elemental works independently without needing constant attention, unless you decide it needs recharging. Sometimes, you might even sense the elemental's activity intuitively, feeling subtle shifts in the mental atmosphere around the target. These signs confirm that the elemental is alive, active, and fulfilling its mission. Keeping a watchful but relaxed attitude allows you to trust the process. When you create and maintain an elemental with imagination, willpower, and clear intent, it will continue working efficiently, bringing the results you intended without interference. When emotions are left unchecked, they create more than just temporary feelings. They release energetic entities known as larvae. Every surge of fear, anger, grief, or hatred shapes raw mental material into living thought forms. Unlike consciously created elementals, larvae are born out of emotional chaos. They take on symbolic forms connected to the emotions that created them. Fear might form a shadowy figure. Hatred might shape itself into a dart. These forms live in the mental world and influence both their creators and the surrounding environment, often without anyone realizing it. Every person, whether trained or untrained, produces larvae without knowing it. It happens during moments of intense emotion, a shock, an outburst of jealousy, a wave of grief. Each strong feeling projects mental matter outward, creating larvae that then survive by feeding on the same emotions that brought them into being. These mental parasites don't just linger passively. They actively influence moods, thought patterns, and behavior. A person filled with anger might find themselves constantly provoked into new arguments, stirred up by the very larvae they have created. Highly emotional or sensitive people create larvae more quickly and more powerfully. Left unchecked, these entities drain mental energy, weaken the nerves, and attract similar disturbances from others, sometimes even fueling group panic or mass hysteria. The stronger a larva becomes, the more it tries to survive. It whispers reminders of fears, rekindles anger, and deepens sorrow, anything to keep the emotional energy flowing. Over time, strong larvae can cause serious mental and emotional instability. The best defense against larvae is mastering your mind. It's not enough to think positively. You must consciously choose which emotions you allow to grow and which you refuse to nourish. By calmly observing your inner state and refusing to indulge destructive feelings, you stop larvae from forming. Daily self-observation helps build this mental discipline. Practices like mindfulness, mental exercises, and periods of quiet reflection create a guarded space where only your chosen thoughts thrive. If larvae have already formed, you can heal and dissolve them. The first step is to withdraw your attention from the emotions that feed them. Without emotional energy, larvae weaken and eventually disintegrate. Visualization is a powerful tool. You can imagine the larvae engulfed by radiant light, breaking apart and returning to harmless energy. Feelings like forgiveness, acceptance, and peace act like a cleansing fire, burning away these harmful forms. In stronger cases, deeper meditation, ritual cleansing, or guidance from a trained practitioner might be needed. But the key is consistent action. Starve the larvae by refusing to feed negativity and actively nurture emotional states that strengthen and heal. Phantoms are another creation of the mind, but they arise not from raw emotion, but from repeated imagination and emotional focus. When you consistently charge an idea or fantasy with emotion, it can gain so much energy that it takes on a life of its own. Phantoms often mirror your strongest beliefs or fears. Someone convinced they are cursed might unknowingly create a phantom of a dark figure. Another person idealizing love or success might create a phantom that subtly influences their decisions and emotions. The repeated emotional focus makes the phantom stronger, until it begins to seem more real than the outside world. Over time, a strong phantom can affect your mental state, your relationships, even your health. Once a phantom gains enough strength, it can dominate the mind that created it. What begins as a harmless fantasy becomes a powerful, independent force, constantly feeding on your emotions and attention. People under the influence of strong phantoms often experience vivid dreams, hallucinations, or a sense of being watched. In severe cases, phantoms can cause anxiety, paranoia, and even self-destructive behavior. The mind trapped by a phantom starts interpreting everything through the lens of the fantasy. Phantoms thrive on secrecy and emotional turmoil. The more you fear or resist them internally, the stronger they grow. Without intervention, they can cause deep psychological harm. One clear example is when fear and suspicion spiral out of control. Imagine meeting a stranger who seems odd or unfriendly. If you feed the fear, you might start imagining that this person is a threat. Over time, every small misfortune feels connected to them. Eventually, you might even see them in dreams or feel their presence everywhere. In truth, it's the phantom you have created that's haunting you, not the stranger. Another tragic example is the creation of love phantoms. Someone who is deeply in love but unable to fulfill that desire might start daydreaming intensely about the object of their affection. At first, it seems harmless. But as the longing grows, the phantom grows stronger, appearing more vividly in dreams and fantasies. Soon, the phantom demands more emotional and sexual energy, draining the person's vitality and weakening their willpower. In severe cases, the victim may retreat from real human connection, becoming trapped in an obsession with the phantom. Stories of succubi and incubi, seductive spirits that drain life energy, often trace back to this kind of experience. Recognizing these dangers early and recentering your emotions on reality is essential to avoid the destructive pull of phantoms. Phantasms are yet another creation of the mind, often mistaken for encounters with the dead. When a loved one dies, strong memories, grief, and longing can create powerful mental images of the deceased. These emotionally charged images become phantasms, living thought forms fueled by the love or sorrow of the living. Each remembrance, each moment of mourning, adds energy to them. They can even manifest as visions, sensations, or dreams. Many so-called ghost sightings or mediumistic communications are actually interactions with phantasms, not true spirits. Because phantasms are created by emotional energy, they tend to reflect the living person's expectations, not the true consciousness of the departed. True spirit communication happens on a much higher level and requires a trained magician working with clear, controlled conditions. It doesn't happen through random emotional outbursts or uncontrolled longing. One clear sign that you're dealing with a phantasm is inconsistency. Phantasms often give confusing or repetitive information, mirroring the emotional confusion of the person who created them. True spirits do not drain energy, cause fear, or demand constant attention, behaviors often associated with phantasms. Recognizing this difference is vital for anyone seeking real spiritual growth. It protects you from self-deception and helps you process grief in a healthier, more grounded way. Working with the powers of the mind opens incredible possibilities, but it also comes with great responsibility. Every thought you think, every strong emotion you feel, and every image you imagine has the potential to shape unseen forces. A conscious creator understands that mental energy is never neutral. It either builds beneficial forces, like elementals, or it creates harmful ones, like larvae and phantoms. Taking responsibility means practicing mindfulness every day. It means observing your thoughts before they turn into forms, and your emotions before they ripple outward. A mindful magician, or anyone serious about mastering their inner world, learns to ask a simple but powerful question. Is this thought building something I want in my life? True mastery of the mental world isn't about controlling others or chasing external success. It's about mastering yourself. It's about making sure that the forces you unleash are intentional, noble, and aligned with higher values. Each time you create consciously, you strengthen your own clarity and open doors to deeper spiritual growth. Every moment, you are creating something, either forces that uplift or forces that harm. Knowing this gives you the power to choose what you bring into existence. In magical practice, love by itself is not enough. Without strong willpower, love can become unfocused, even misused. That's why the guiding principle must be love under a strong will. This means that every creation of the mind should be guided by compassion, wisdom, and steady focus. Love inspires the desire to create good, but willpower gives it shape and lasting impact. Living by this principle ensures that your magical work is not only powerful, but but also ethical and harmonious. It protects you from the dangers of unconscious creation and guarantees that the forces you set in motion will uplift both you and the world around you. By uniting love with will, you navigate the vast mental universe with confidence, balance, and true mastery. In conclusion, the power of imagination is far more than a mere tool for daydreaming. It is a fundamental force that shapes our reality. By harnessing the mind's ability to create intentional, structured energy in the form of elementals, individuals can transform their thoughts and desires into powerful forces that influence both their inner and outer worlds. However, with this power comes great responsibility. It is essential to maintain control over our thoughts, emotions, and intentions to avoid the creation of destructive entities like larvae and phantoms. True mastery lies in cultivating mindfulness, discipline, and willpower, ensuring that every mental creation is purposeful, ethical, and aligned with higher values. By merging love with strong will, we can navigate the mental world with clarity and wisdom, ultimately guiding our lives toward positive transformation and spiritual growth. For more details on this topic, check out the corresponding article on our website. You can find the link in the description below. Thanks for watching.